Hello everyone, welcome to my May wrap up. So May has been quite an eventful month, but also a month of getting back into reading in a way where it was like getting into genres that I thought I had outgrown, but apparently not, or maybe I'm coming back to them. So it's been like a very comfort reading month. I really didn't have a hard time picking up books. I didn't really fall into a slump, alhamdulillah, thank God. But yeah, so I have quite a lot to talk about. I read 9 books, and I'm also going to be talking a little bit about movies. If you guys like me talking about movies as well, you can let me know, and I'll keep doing that with my wrap-ups too. I watched 7 movies. Some were rewatches, but we're going to talk about them as well. So we're talking about a book that I unexpectedly loved so much, and I'm still thinking about it, and that is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. The thing is, okay, here's the thing. Around like 2019, I thought I had outgrown YA. I was like, I am not really into YA anymore. I'm not into YA fantasy in particular. Like, it wasn't working for me. I kept picking up books and putting them down, and I kept getting disappointed. So I was like, it's just the same thing being regurgitated. I don't want to do this. Then a close friend of mine, I think this was around 2020, recommended the These Violent Delights duology by Chloe Gong, and she is also not someone who reads a lot of fantasy or YA. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And I really liked the setting. So this entire series is set in Shanghai in the, I'd like to say 1920s or 30s. I might be wrong. Wait, but yeah, I'll correct myself somewhere here. But the setting was really interesting to me, and These Violent Delights as a duology, it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling with gangs in Shanghai at this particular time. And that really interested me, and I started it and I enjoyed it. Okay, the thing is, if you go check out my reviews, it looks like I like fell in love with it, head over heels, best books in the world. That wasn't really the case. In hindsight, they were okay, like they were good books, and I think because I had been disappointed by YA fantasy so much, I was like, okay, this is actually really good. But when she announced the rest of the series, so we have the duology, and then she said she was doing another series following one of the side characters in the These Violent Delights duology. This particular character didn't really stand out to me, and I didn't really feel like I wanted to continue this series. I felt like it was good, but not really good enough for me to want to read more books in the series. That being said, my favorite part of the These Violent Delights duology is the world. I really love the world, and Chloe Gong's writing is really good for YA fantasy. I love her writing. I say that now, having read Foul Lady Fortune, because I want to also highlight the fact that her writing has improved a lot. Like, I think this is something I notice a lot with YA fantasy authors. With every release, their writing gets better, and you really notice that with Chloe Gong, because I've also started another series of hers. Okay, enough about all these other books. Let's talk about Foul Lady Fortune itself. I picked it up randomly because I had, at some point, I came across it on Goodreads. I saw that the plot is quite romance centric, and it focuses on sort of a close proximity trope. So both our main characters are essentially spies. They're being asked to spy on a particular organization, and they are expected to pose as a married couple. I really like the sound of that. And I really like the sound of the spying angle as well. And our main character, who I don't know if I should name, just because this is like maybe a spoiler for the These Violent Delights duology, but she is essentially immortal to some extent, and she functions as an assassin named the Lady Fortune, basically. And we follow our 2 main characters as they navigate this sudden assignment that they have been given. The things I loved about Foul Lady Fortune, I think the romance is really, really, really good. I think it's done extremely well. On top of the romance, which was really fun to read, I love the setting, and it's just the same thing as These Violent Delights, but it's a little bit like, I would say Foul Lady Fortune is a lot more pulled back, it's a lot more relaxed. We are able to kind of chill, because These Violent Delights as a duology is really intense. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, the characters are always going at each other, it's very intense. You don't get a lot of like downtime. You get some downtime, you don't get a lot of it, but in Foul Lady Fortune you get a lot of downtime. If you are someone who doesn't like a lot of downtime in your fantasies, you might not like this. But I love downtime in my bio fantasies. Like, I love it generally in my fantasies. I can watch these characters just sit in a place for a while. Like, it does not bother me. I in fact love it. So I really loved it in Foul Lady Fortune. But yeah, that's Foul Lady Fortune. I'm currently reading actually the next book in the series, which is Last Violent Call, which is a callback to the These Violent Delights duology. If you're looking to read this series, the thing is, you don't actually, technically you do not have to have read the These Violent Delights duology to read Foul Lady Fortune and the next book, which is also which is its own duology essentially. This is sort of like a novella in between Foul Lady Fortune and its last book. So I don't know if that makes sense, but you can go check it out. You can choose to read Foul Lady Fortune actually as its own duology and not read the These Violent Delights duology. But yes, I really love them. And I want to add on that if you are someone who's into film and you're into Taiwanese and Hong Kong films, you'll know what I mean. I'm currently watching Flowers of Shanghai, directed by Hu Xiaoxun. I might have butchered that a bit, but he's my favorite Taiwanese director, and it's so this world. Like, if you like that sort of visual aesthetic and that sort of a world, you're gonna enjoy this, especially in terms of its atmosphere and ambiance. But yes, go check out this series. Again, Chloe Gong is such an underrated YA fantasy author. Her writing is so good. I kept being surprised by the writing because she's just genuinely a good writer. The next book was the novella for Foul Lady Fortune, which is The Priest and the Shepherd. So that's just going to be a tack on to Foul Lady Fortune. It's hilarious because the entirety of Foul Lady Fortune, you're told about her direct rival, who is known as the Priest. And I don't know if I was supposed to guess it, but I did not guess it until the end. Like, until when they did eventually like throw it in your face and reveal it, like, oh, by the way, like, apparently everyone else got it, and I was like, I did not put that together. And The Priest and the Shepherd is like delving into those characters, obviously. And yeah, I really like Chloe Gong writing her characters just chilling. Like, keep doing more of that. Honestly, Last Violent Call is pretty much an entire book of that, which I'm very happy about. Next, let's talk about one of my potential top 10 books. I always say these things really early, and guess what? These books always make it. And we're talking about Perfect Victims by Mohammed el-Kurd. I knew it would be good. I knew it would be good. I just didn't know how much it was gonna impact me and how much it was gonna change my perspective. If you haven't heard of this, you have to go pick this up. Like, I am recommending this to anyone and everyone. I won't stop talking about it because it is so good. In my review of Perfect Victims, I said that this had a very Fanon-like feel. It felt like reading the Fanon of our generation, and I say that without any hesitation. It's that good. And the thing is, prior to this, Mohammed el-Kurd, he released Rifka, which is a poetry collection, and it was incredible. I absolutely loved it. One of the best poetry collections I've read, point blank. But on top of that, knowing that he was writing a non-fiction, I was a bit like, I don't really know how it's gonna be. And it's very different, but it's really, really good. If you haven't heard about it, Perfect Victims essentially is about the politics of appeal. It makes you sort of see victims differently. And I think obviously this is written in the context of Palestine, and a lot of the case studies that he does use are Palestinian. Essentially, this can be applied to any conflict, any situation where there are victims and there are oppressors. And I think that's why I feel like this is a very Fanon-like book, where it is particularly about one one conflict, one moment in history, but it can be applied across everything. And Mohammed el-Kurd has so much, like, he is such a smart guy. Like, you can tell from the way he has written the book. There is so much research that has gone into it. There is so much there's a rich intellectual understanding of what he's saying, and it comes across so well. On top of his poetic writing, he's able to bring in all these case studies, bring in the academic side of things, while also grounding everything in real stories and real people. And I think that's where the real impact is. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Every single chapter was really impactful. Every single chapter had so much to say and had a lot of things that made me stop and think. I took my time with this book. I think I would read a chapter and I would let it sit for at least 2 to 3 days, and then I would then go back and I would read another chapter, and I would do the same. So yeah, Perfect Victims by Mohammed el-Kurd. And obviously this month we had the Booker Prize winner announced, Taiwan Travelogue. I did not end up reading Taiwan Travelogue. I did though sit and think, okay, I do want to read something from the long list, and the book I decided I wanted to read right from the start, I knew I wanted to read it, was Woman Without Men by Shahrnush Parsipur. I hope I haven't butchered that too much, but it just immediately it struck me as like, I want to read this. And then I read the blurb, I heard a little bit about it, I was like, okay, I want to read this even more. So I spent, I think, only a day. I think it was just one day. I sat down, I logged in, and I read it in like 2 sittings. And even though everyone told me it was weird, everyone told me it's a bit dissonant, it still really didn't work for me. And I say that reluctantly just because I like an experimental book, but I think the problem for me is that if a book has too much of a dissonance in terms of like, it kind of gives you the chills, or it has like a very dark vibe. Like, the way I would describe it is like, you know, if you take a nap when you're not used to taking a nap, and you wake up like really disoriented, and you've had like a really weird liminal dream. I think the word is like the liminal sort of a feeling. That's how I felt reading this entire book. It felt weird, and not in a good way, not in an experimental way for me. And that feeling kind of put me in a mind space where it was very hard for me to think about things like intellectually, or start thinking about the social angles of things. I was just really disturbed. I was like, I don't want to stay in this book anymore. It felt like a place I wanted to escape. The only reason I finished it is because it's quite short. That being said, I think it has a lot of lessons. It's just hard for me, not for me. I gave this 2 stars. Next is The Many Deaths of Laila Starr by Ram V. I love my graphic novels, but this year I haven't read many. So at some point this year I was like, this month I was like, I need to read a graphic novel. And this one has been on my radar for so long. The colors on the cover alone, I was like, I need to read this. And I did. And I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the story. It was so well done. All of the panels, the colors, the drawing style, everything spoke to me. It was very much the style that I love. It was very expressionistic, but on top of that, the story was incredible. And I'm gonna emphasize it because I read a lot of graphic novels. I've read a lot of graphic novels. Always, like, not always, I would say like 90% of the time, if the style is this good, the story generally falls flat. But here it really excelled. I think it kind of is very, if you are into graphic novels, you might know Day Tripper. Day Tripper is a graphic novel series that I love. It's one of my favorites ever. And this kind of had the energy of Day Tripper and Shubek Lubek, which is by Dina Mohammed. It's one of my favorite graphic novels again. And it kind of had both of these energies in it. So I think when I got past the like first issue, I was like, I'm gonna love this, and I did love it. If you don't know what this particular graphic novel is about, it follows essentially our main character's death, and Death has been basically fired because someone who is going to unlock the secrets to eternal life and immortality was just born. So Death gets fired, and Death is basically sent down to Earth into a human body in order to live out a mortal life. Sounds fun, right? I really, really enjoyed this. If you like, here's a good way to think. If you liked Into the Spider-Verse, if you like the animation style in that, especially the animation style when you're in Mumbai, I think it's Mumbutton, you're gonna really enjoy this. So I really love this. I hope Ramvi has more graphic novels. Every time I read a good graphic novel, I always go stalk the author and I'm like, where are the rest of your work? And there is never that much. Like, I know that it takes time and it's a very like long process, but like I want more in this particular style. But yes, The Many Deaths of Laila Starr. Finally we hit a physical book. I literally only read one physical book this month, which is insane to me. I like, in hindsight, I'm like, what? I'm so used to reading on my Kindle that it's kind of a tragedy. But yeah, I read Brotherless Night by Evie Ganeshananthan, which was our Sira book club pick. If you don't know, I run a book club with my best friend in person here in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and we picked up Brotherless Night, and we were so lucky because she happened to be here for an award and she's doing a bunch of events. I'm really excited because I'm actually going to be meeting her tomorrow, inshallah. Maybe I can put a clip here. But yeah, I'm really excited to meet her, especially after having read this and discussed this. We just had our meeting over this past weekend, and I mean, look at the annotations. Like, I was trying to be sparse because I did this with our last book club read, and at the meeting I was losing my mind because I was like, oh my god, yeah, that quote, and then I would spend like 2 minutes like, where the hell is it, because I've just marked everything. But yeah, I tried to be sparse and it's still packed because this was such a good book. If you have heard of it, go read it. It's time. This is the time. Do it now. If you haven't heard about it, it's time. It's time to hear about it and pick it up and read it. So if you don't know anything about it, Brotherless Night is a Sri Lankan book. So it's a historical fiction set around the beginning. Actually goes through the entire process of the Sri Lankan Civil War. We follow one particular family, and our main character is Sashi, who has 3 brothers, and they all live in Jaffna together, and we follow them sort of at the beginning, like pre-war, and then throughout the entire war. And if you've never heard about Sri Lanka's civil war, it lasted for 45 years and its impact is still very much there. There's still a lot of things to unpack in terms of the Sri Lankan civil war, and I love the way this book is written, because I think it is the best gateway book to learn about the Sri Lankan Civil War. Not only is the fiction element of it easier for people to understand, it also there is so much research that has gone into this to give you a framework of everything. And on top of that, Vivi Ganeshananthan has done such an incredible job of creating character vignettes that perfectly capture a particular perspective. So you are not just getting 1 or 2 perspectives, you are getting multiple different perspectives from multiple different angles, whether that is an academic's point of view, whether it is someone trying to be neutral, whether it's someone pro-state, pro-militant. You get all of the different angles and perspectives. And you also get this, I think one of the most powerful things about this book is the fact that it shows you how agency is possible in impossible situations, and how characters in impossible situations make decisions that cannot be made in any other situation. So go read it. I really think it's worth your time, and especially if you're Sri Lankan and you don't know much about the Civil War, this is going to provide you a framework within which you can work. I'm going to read out a quote from this book because the writing in this was so beautiful. Oh my god, not this page. We hit a really sensitive page, guys. This is kind of a hard book to read in the sense that it's very heavy and it feels very personal. Yeah, this is probably one of the more famous quotes in the book, but I do think it really does capture a lot of what's great about this book. Imagine the places you grew up, the places you studied, places that belong to your people, burnt. But I should stop pretending that I know you. perhaps you do not have to imagine. Perhaps your library too went up in smoke. It's this second person that really like pulls this book into another level. So read Brotherless Night. The next one is an extremely underrated book. I have not heard anyone talk about this, and I loved it so much. And that's Adam and Evie's Matchmaking Tour by Nora Nguyen. I might have messed that up. But this is a rom-com romance book, adult romance book, that it's been on my radar again. Like, I've seen it here and there. It's been on my Kindle for a while. I've eyed it. It's just this idea of a matchmaking tour that I was like, this sounds so fun. But I didn't end up reaching for it. Also because, to be honest with you, I am someone who likes to be on Goodreads. I like to see what people have to say about books, and absolutely no one was talking about this, so I was a bit hesitant because I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to romances. Like, I'm a bit picky, so I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But in a random moment, I was like, you know what? I need a light, fun romance to read, and I picked it up, and this was so much more than a romance. And I think a lot of romance books are, but this one in particular is so much more than a romance. Like, oh my god, I love this so much. Like, 5 stars, easy 5 stars. And if you have never heard of this, and even if it piques your interest even a little bit, you should go check it out. I describe this as like People We Meet on Vacation mashed up with Crazy Rich Asians. I think that's like the perfect mashup. It's better than People We Meet on Vacation, actually. So the plot itself is just so fun, and the execution is great. I am not someone who like annotates or has a lot of highlights in my romance books. They're like my guilty pleasure fun reads. I just fly through them and I don't ask too much of them. Like, it's very low stakes. But this book, I kept highlighting. It had so much to say, and the author does such a good job of giving your characters these beautiful arcs while also bringing them together. It's honestly so good. And the setting, Vietnam. Okay, so basically the plot. Let me give you the plot. Our main character is she lives with her. No, she doesn't actually. Okay, wait. So she's working right now. She's an adult, she has a mediocre boyfriend, and life is happening to her until suddenly a lot of things fall apart, and she ends up in a situation where basically she is kind of in a position to acquire quite a bit of money, but the only way for her to acquire it is, this is her aunt has basically left her an inheritance, and the only way for her to rightfully claim this inheritance is, one of her conditions is that she has to go on this luxury matchmaking tour in Vietnam, which is her homeland. So she's in the US, and she's been born and she's brought up in the US. She's never been to Vietnam, her homeland. She's always wanted to go, and her aunt has essentially given her a way to go. She has always kind of lived this life where she's played it safe, and her aunt has always, told her to like go out, do things, have fun. And in this kind of position where she's kind of really lost, she doesn't know what to do with her life, which I related to a lot, by the way. She decides on a whim, like, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna go. And she kind of sees it as like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna do my own thing. The matchmaking thing isn't really on her mind that much. It's just a side. She doesn't think about it too much. She's going for the soul seeking, for the soul searching, for a break from everything, to go to her homeland. And then she goes. And on the other side, we have our male character, who is Adam. And Adam has also he's kind of in a spot where he's also had like a really bad down in his life, and now he's working with his sister on this matchmaking business and this luxury tour that they have planned. His sister basically realizes that he's not very passionate about this. He's kind of just doing it as like another corporate job, which he's good at. And she tells him, you know what, why don't you join the tour? Why don't you become a participant in the tour and experience it for yourself, so you know how to market it and how to do it more, like how to do it justice. And Adam reluctantly agrees. And this is where Adam and Evie meet. And oh my god, I love this. I also just think that the characters being very lost in life and like coming off of a down, both characters, I related to both characters so much. And I loved the way that the author did the tour as well. You actually do get to go and see all of these places with these characters. It's very nice. It's a very great escapist book as well, because it just takes you out of yourself and into these like fantasy-esque sort of settings, in the sense that they are on a luxury tour, so everything is like catered beautifully to them. Again, that's where the like Crazy Rich Asians angle comes. The people we meet on vacation angle comes just like from the fact that you're going to different locations, and these characters are just so fun. Like, they have such fun banter. But yeah, I really genuinely enjoyed this. If this sounds even a little bit like something you would enjoy, I think give it a shot. It's a really good one. I see this, like, the more time goes by, the more I look back on it like, wow, that was a really good book. And there's always a good indicator for me after I'm done with a book. So who knew? Romance has been, all the romances I've read have been so good to me this year. Like, alhamdulillah, I'm so happy. Like, because I have had years where every romance I pick sucks, and I just DNF. This was like a book that I didn't just love, like, I highlighted in it, man. Like, I don't do that. But yes, I know I keep saying everything is my favorite. I have a problem, because the next one is also possibly a new big fat favorite, and that is The Potato Eaters by Farhad Pirbal. Okay, another book that has been on my like TBR for a while, that I have been eyeing. I'm like, I need to read you. You look so good. And purely because, get this, there's a book I read completely on a whim a couple of years ago. It has become my top 3 favorite book of all time, and that is The Haunting of Haji Hotak and Other Stories by Jamil Jan Kochai. That book, I can't get over it. Like, I love it so much. There is nothing like it out there. But when I saw The Potato Eaters, I was like, this sounds like something along the same vein. And even if it is like along the same vein, I was like so excited. I need to read this. And also the fact that it was translated. So this is Kurdish literature, which has been translated into English. And my God, is it so good. I highly recommend getting into this particular region, because Haunting of Haji Hotak is Afghanistan. It's Afghan diaspora stories. This is Kurdish, and they have such a similar nature to the storytelling. I do not know what it is. Like, I am going to be deep in this region for the rest of my translated literature that I'm looking for. The Potato Eaters itself is a again, another short story collection, and The Potato Eaters is the like title story, which was, honestly, it was the best story in the collection. I love the experimental writing. It's so well done. There's such a like folklore sort of an element. It reads like a classic at certain points, but you also just have like it's so experimental. You kind of think like how, like, it feels modern, but it's written in a very classical fairy tale way, but it's very experimental. There's a story where it's just, oh my God, it made me laugh. It made me lose my mind because it was so funny. And it's just like repetition is the only thing about it that's funny, but it was funny to me. But yes, The Potato Eaters, I just think if you like humor in your literary writing, and you like a classical folklore vibe, you're gonna love this. I would recommend reading The Haunting of Haji Hotak as well, just because I can't help myself. But I want to read more translated books like this. If you have read this or anything like this, and you know any books like it, please tell me, because I will go and find it and read it. We are finally at book 9, and it is Winter in Sokcho by Elisa, Shua, Dusapin. I hope I pronounced that right. This is a French translated book by a Korean-French author, and I had seen it. I think it came out in 2016. Yes, so it came out in 2016, 10 years ago. When it came out, a lot of people were talking about it. I remember seeing the cover and thinking, ooh, that is a really pretty cover. But at the time this came out, I was 15. I was not into literary novels. Actually, if I had read this back then, I would not have liked it. I would probably not have finished it. But it was on my mind. You know, like I would see it here and there. And then a recent new bookish friend of mine, in one of her top favorites lists, she had Winter in Sokcho. That rubbed me back to it. I was like, okay, now I want to read it. So I picked it up. I think it was like one morning or one night. I read it I think in like 2 sittings. I read it really fast, and I really enjoyed that very particular atmosphere it created. And I think that's the thing about books like this. They have their like personally, there was like, I really didn't see the necessity of the male character beyond being a source of like moving the plot. But to be frank, like I didn't really even need a plot. Like, this is my thing with like translated literature, especially literary novels like these, which are very atmospheric, because you are spending winter in Sokcho, which is like this small town vibe, and it's like a seaside place, and the descriptions of the food and the infrastructure and the weather, all of that is like enough for me. And the fact that this character is kind of living like this mundane repetitive life, like that's kind of all I need. Like, if that was the entire book, I would have still enjoyed it just as much. The male character annoyed me. I was like, we don't really need you. Like, why are you here? And I know like that is the crux of the main plot, and the like everything moves, and the character, our main character, changes and evolves and kind of goes through some shifts because of the male character, but I didn't like him. But yeah, that was Winter in Sokcho. I actually surprised that like I heard there was a movie and I saw the poster, but I was surprised by how many good reviews the movie had on Letterboxd. So I'm contemplating watching it. I might not, just because with atmospheric novels like these, I have created such a like world in my head that when I watch it's bound to be disappointing, just because I have such a expectation already. So those were the books. So we are now gonna go into the movies. Let me take a little sip of my water. So let's go into the movies. The first two movies I'm talking about were both rewatches. Guess what, guys? My friends and I finally decided to do the Tolkien rewatch that we have been talking about for years and years and years. We are doing it online, unfortunately, because we are all in different countries. But it's happening, and we did the first Hobbit movie in, what is the month before May? April. We did the first Hobbit movie in April, and we did The Desolation of Smaug and The Battle of the Five Armies, so the second and the third movie, in May. And it's interesting because I know I love the first Hobbit movie. I love it purely for the atmosphere, the music, everything about it is really good. It's a very feel-good movie for me. But see, Desolation of Smaug, the second movie, is still good. It still holds up. I think a lot of the plot movement happens there. You get to spend time with Tauriel and Legolas and Thranduil, and you get to also meet Bard, arguably one of my favorite characters, and like a lot happens in Desolation of Smaug. So Desolation of Smaug still stands very strong. Battle of the Five Armies, though, like, why did I literally hate it? Like, I did not know I could hate it. Like, I thought it would be mid and I'd like move on. No, like I was hating on this movie. We were watching it and I was trying not to be cynical. I am not a cynical person by nature, but I was just so cynical. Like, Thorin Oakenshield kept pissing me off, and I'm gonna try not to spoil it. But yes, the Hobbit rewatches were good, but now I'm really excited to do the Lord of the Rings because I know they're better. Like, I know the movies are better. Like, it's objectively better, but also subjectively, when I first watched them, I know they're better. So I'm really excited to watch them. And one of my friends isn't doing this as a rewatch. She's actually watching them for the first time. So this is very exciting for the rest of us. Actually, the next one is also a rewatch. But it's a kind of an unexpected rewatch. I rewatched Plus One, starring Maya Erskine and is it Jack Quaid. This is a romance movie that came out in 2019, and I watched it once. I enjoyed it. It was good, and I don't know why I keep wanting to rewatch it. Like, it doesn't. The first time I watched it, I did not think it had much rewatch value, but I keep wanting to rewatch it. And I think this is the thing. If you haven't heard of Plus One, it's essentially a movie where our characters are both kind of mutual, like they're friends, I guess. They're not like extremely close, but they're friends. And the two of them are kind of, they're single at a time when everyone else in their lives is getting married. And main male character, he has also like 10 weddings to go to, and our female character, who has just gone through quite a bad breakup also has a bunch of weddings to go to. The two end up at a particular wedding together, and she proposes the idea of like, what if we just went to all these weddings together, because going to them alone sucks. And so they kind of make this deal to go to all of these weddings together, and we follow them wedding after wedding. And it's such a, like, it's, I know what it is. Okay, I know what it is. I will tell you what it is. I grew up watching BuzzFeed videos, and like in that era, in like 2000, and I would say like, oh, I'm really bad with time, but like 2013, 14, 15, like 16, that era of like YouTube, BuzzFeed, that's the vibe that Plus One gives me. It feels like you're watching that particular era, and this nostalgia attached to it. I also think it's because we do spend a lot of time in LA, but yeah, I think that's why I keep going back to it. And also the editing and the humor and everything about it gives off like YouTube in that era. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it just, if you get where I'm coming from in terms of this particular like brand of nostalgia, you're gonna enjoy it. I also just think it's a really good romance. It's a really good friends to lovers arc. Like, you get to see these characters, like, it feels very real, and I think that's the probably the also because of this YouTube style vibe that it gives off. It just feels like a very real thing. And I think it also made, I related to it a lot, because I also have a love-hate relationship with weddings. I love weddings. Like, I love people, and I love weddings, and I love love, and I love watching people get to, you know, like, commit to that love and finally, you know, like, get married. But also it's like a time where I constantly get questioned, like, oh, when are you getting married? When is your wedding? You know? So it's a love-hate relationship, and this particular movie like perfectly captured how I feel about weddings. Yes, if you're looking for a good romance, go watch Plus One. Next, I'm gonna shout out, because I feel like I have to, a K-drama. The thing is, I watch quite a lot of K-dramas. I didn't, but this year I haven't watched that much. Over the past year or so, it's kind of been a downfall in my K-drama intake. But this K-drama was one that my friend has been recommending to me for years, and we're quite particular with our recommendations to each other. Like, we'll be like, we only recommend something that we really genuinely think the other person is going to enjoy. So because she had been recommending it to me for years, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out, even though, get this, even though it has a lot of things I don't like in K-drama. So it has one, it's sort of like a revenge plot. Two, it gave off just super sad vibes, like melancholy, sad and slow vibes, which I don't like. And three, it had a lot, it looked like it had a lot of corporate stuff going on, which I don't like corporate stuff. So it had all these three things, which is what I thought from like the trailer and stuff and what I had seen. And so I was like, I kept putting it off, but I was finally like, you know what, I trust my friend, I'm gonna watch this. And I did, and oof, it was so good. And it's Call It Love, which came out in 2023. It stars Lee Song Kyung, and I had seen this like very peripherally. No one really talked about it that much besides my friend, of course. But my god, is it such a good K-drama. Like, everything I thought it was better. It was way better. It's such a balanced K-drama. It actually has a lot of things, and as sad as it looks, it has a lot of gentle, really comforting moments. And I think that's what I really fell in love with, the balance of it all, the sort of idea that like you are allowed to be sad and have sad things happen to you and have all this trauma and intense stuff going on, but you're also just allowed to live your life and be okay and have a meal and sit down with a friend and laugh about something. And it's done so well, guys. It's also beautiful. It is such a beautiful K-drama. It's color graded very particularly, and there are these scenes, these compositions that are just, it's very good. A little bit about the plot, but like, don't get very hung up on it. Like, it has a lot more going on. Basically, our main character is very hung up on her family's trauma. Essentially, her dad cheats on her mom when this our character is in high school, and leaves their family with basically the entire burden of taking care of a household. to her mom and her siblings, and she's kind of always taken this caretaker role and taken on a lot more than she could handle. She's had to give up a lot of things in her life because of what her dad did, and we open on basically her dad's death, and she decides that she's going to get revenge because she finds out that the woman that her dad cheated on her mom with is basically the only thing that she really cares about is her son. And her son is living the high life. He is the CEO of his own company, la-di-da-di-da. Our girl, our main character, basically decides that she is going to get a job in his company and ruin his life to get revenge. But obviously that's not how things go. But again, I want to emphasize that this is one of those shows where I wouldn't put it in a box. It's genuinely so much more than this particular plot. It's much more than the romance. Everything about it is so gentle and beautiful, and it's such a it's a show for introverts. If you're an introvert and you're looking for that sort of representation, you're gonna probably call it love even more than I did. I know I've been talking about so many favorites in everything I watched, but this is genuinely such a big favorite, and that is the movie A Riddle of Fire. It came out in 2023 and is directed by Weston Razuli, and oh my god. Again, so I've been crocheting a lot this month, and when I crochet, I can't watch anything that requires too much attention. So I'll usually put on a sitcom or something while I'm crocheting, and I did this time. But I also decided I was gonna tackle some of my low stakes movie watch list. So I saw Riddle of Fire on there, and I was like, this is a low stakes movie. I'm just gonna put it on while I crochet. I abandoned my crochet in like the first 2 minutes of the movie. The movie just was so good. It immediately sucked me, and I was like, I need to pay full on attention. This made my morning. That particular day is memorable to me because of the fact that I watched Riddle of Fire for the first time on that day. And it's just, oh my god, it feels like a movie made for me. Like, I love it. Every single design decision, every single editing decision, every single line, everything, every decision that was made to make this movie was like made for me. I love it so much. It's just this, it captures, I have no words. It's honestly so good. You should go check it out. If you've seen the poster or any of the scenes, I'll put some screenshots here so you guys can kind of get an understanding of what I'm talking about. There is a very particular vibe. When I watched this, my brain was like, oh my god, I wish I made this. Like that. And I don't know if you're creative, but if any creatives are out there, you know exactly what I mean. That is the highest compliment. When you watch something and you think, oh my god, I wish I made that, I wish I had thought of that, that's the highest compliment. And Riddle of Fire was exactly that. The entire time I was like, this is so good, I wish I had come up with this. But yes, Riddle of Fire, ladies and gentlemen. And I know a lot of people who are gonna watch this and be like, okay, it's like not that good, because for me, like, it feels like it was made for me, for my particular taste, and therefore it's so good. Yes, I love it. If you have like taste in movies or aesthetics the way I do, you're gonna really enjoy this too. I really recommend it. It also has some really good music. I love the music throughout the entire movie. Next, let's talk about another crochet movie, and this one I actually did crochet through a lot of it, but it was a really great crochet movie, and that's Epic 2013. Damn, Epic 2013. Wow, it's a really good movie for having come out in 2013. So this is a animated movie that had escaped my like childhood essentially. I don't know, I vaguely remember seeing the poster and never really thinking twice about it. Didn't blow up or anything, at least not in my world. But I saw I saw a little clip on Instagram or Pinterest somewhere, and I was like, oh my god, I need to get on this, because it was so cottagecore, it was so Tinkerbell-y. I was like, okay, you know what, I need to get on this, and I did, and it was worth it. It was really good. If you are into like Tinkerbell and that like Lord of the Rings sort of like cozy vibe, you're really gonna enjoy this. The soundtrack itself is so similar to all of these other movies that I just mentioned, but it also stands on its own 2 feet really well. What it the plot itself is quite, actually it's quite advanced for 2013, but I think there's a lot of things I've been watching where I'm like, it's quite advanced for 1986. But yeah, epic. Again, it's a really good one to like put on and crochet with, or like do something else with. And that's not an insult to the movie, it's just the fact that it has such good atmosphere. That's the way I look at it, at least. Shaking. Why are you shaking? Okay, we made it to the end of the list. We are at the end. We are talking about Anne of Green Gables, the sequel, which came out in 1987. Okay, here's the thing. I watched Anne with an E and I loved it, but it was not faithful to the books the way I wanted it to be, but it was still really good. And at this point, I wasn't like a movie buff or anything, so I was like, 1986, like that's an old movie. Like I don't know if I can do that. But my friend, again, another friend of mine who loves the Anne of Green Gables series, she grew up with it. She grew up watching the 1986 movie, and she was like, you have to watch the movie, you have to watch the 80s movie. It's like, it's way more faithful to the books, it's way better than the series. And I was like, okay girl, like okay, got it. And I watched it and I loved it. I loved Anne of Green Gables, the movie. If you haven't watched it and you love Anne of Green Gables, you should go watch this. It is way more faithful to the books, and it's beautifully shot, the colors, the sentiment, and it has that energy that Anne has in the book much more realistically. It's much more faithful to the book as well in terms of plot lines and characters. Now let's talk about the sequel, which is the one I watched in May. The sequel, again, these are not like essentially movies, they're like mini TV episodes. So this entire, like if we're thinking about it as a movie, it was 4 hours long, but they break it down for you. Again, I think this one is quite faithful to the book, but I have to be honest, I didn't love it as much as I did the first movie. I think this particular section, I wish we got to see this with Anne with an E, which we didn't, by the way, because this particular section like explores Anne going out of Avonlea, and the series ends with Anne essentially having just gotten into uni, right? But in this movie, we actually go out with Anne, we see her working, we see her come back to Avonlea and be a teacher, and then also pursue other things, right? So I don't know if it's okay to spoil like a classic from so long ago. I feel like it's okay, but if you love the books and you've read them and you're faithful to them, you are really gonna enjoy the 80s adaptations. Like I really recommend that you go try and watch them. Even if you really enjoyed Anne with an E and you want to kind of dive back into those characters, watch the 80s movies, they're so good. You thought we were done, you thought that was the last thing on the list, but there's something that we need to talk about that isn't on the list but is on everyone's mind. And you probably know what I'm going to talk about. It is not a movie. It is not a book. It is a TV show. It is not a K-drama. We need to talk about off-campus. Y'all don't understand. Actually, you understand. Actually, a lot of you do understand. The chokehold this show had on me the past 2 weeks cannot be underestimated. Like, oh my Lord heavens. I did not expect this. The thing is, I heard about the show. Another friend of mine was like kind of talking about it peripherally, and I saw some of the posters, and I think I saw something, and I was like, it doesn't look like something I'd be into. Like, I'm not really into a lot of American TV shows, at least not recent ones, especially romances. Like, they have just not been working for me, and I just actively avoid them. I also just don't like, it's not that I don't like it, but it's just I grew up with a lot of these like frat party movies and like all these rom-coms. So I was like, I don't know, like a lot of these modern takes don't work for me, so I just kept putting it off. And then one day, completely randomly, I was like, you know what, like I just want a fun show, like a fun romance show to watch. So I decided to watch it, and yeah, that was it. Like I was gone. It's so good. Like, oh my god, I keep telling people it's so good. And I think it's like this for me. A lot of people keep saying it's like a trashy show. I actually don't think it's trashy, which could be debatable, but my thing is that, like, I feel like this is the first time I've seen an adult romance be adapted really well. Like, this for me is what the reading experience is like when I read a good adult romance. But they never ever get the adaptations right. Like, it's always, something is always off. But off campus did it. I haven't read the books, by the way, and I don't plan on reading them because from what I've heard, I don't think I'll enjoy them, to be honest with you. But the show was done really well because it does the thing that I love about good adult romances, where the characters themselves have a lot of growth. They have their own, like, arcs, and they run parallel with, obviously, the romance as well. And on top of that, you also get the actual, like, romance itself, which is so good. And I think a lot of the adaptations, one of the main things they get wrong is the writing. There's always a lot of cringy lines, and it just feels off. Sometimes you have really good actors, which I get really frustrated with this, because they'll cast really good actors, but they write it so badly that the delivery, like, can't not be awkward. Like, it's just bad lines. But Off Campus fixes that problem. You have, like, situations where I know what the typical, like, romance show or movie would do, but it subverts it, and the characters actually say things that realistically would be said, or, like, react in a very realistic way. Like, if something happens, like, they don't react in the typical rom-com movie fashion. They actually react like how real people would react in a situation like this. And I think that's it. And on top of that, there's a nostalgic element for sure, because I grew up watching movies like Pitch Perfect, and it's just this whole, and Sydney White, oh my god, yeah, Sydney White is one. This whole, like, American uni sort of a setup, I guess college is what they call it, but yeah, that setup really, like, triggers that nostalgia already in me. And also I want to add that they did Gen Z justice. Like, the music, the way the phones were used, like, I know a lot of people are talking about this, and I also want to hop on that train. Like, the way the characters use their social media and their phones is so realistic to reality. It also made me nostalgic for uni. Like, I really enjoyed my uni life, alhamdulillah. Like, I had a lot of fun in uni, and I did uni abroad, so I had the whole dorm hostel life, and, like, I related a lot to Hannah's, like, moments. There was a moment I actually teared up, and yeah, and that's why I think this is a really good show. And as much as the romance is at the center of the show, it's the crux of the show, it's the core of the show, I think even without the romance, it would have been a good show. And that's why, like, I don't want to call it trashy, because I just think it's a good show. And just because it's fun and it's mainstream doesn't mean we have to call it trashy. But yes, Off Campus, if you haven't watched it yet, don't watch it. Actually, don't do it. Like, I feel like I've spent a week trying to get over it, and I can't. I keep trying to watch other things, and I'm like, no, but, like, I could just rewatch Off Campus. The first time I watched it, I just went back and rewatched the entire thing again. Like, I watched it twice in a row, and that was still not enough for me. I then sat my sister down, and I was like, you are gonna watch this with me. And now I'm trying to sit my other sister down, like, now you are gonna watch, because I can't stop watching it. Like, it is a problem. It has also taken over my sound, like, my playlists. It's all I listen to. My music has shifted to just whatever Off Campus was playing. But yes, I think that's as much praise as I can give, without literally bursting. Talking about it is making me want to watch it again. Oh my god, I have other things to watch. I can't just... And if you're wondering who's my favorite character, this is a hard one. Garrett Graham. What do you mean? Hard question. It's not a hard question. I love Garrett. I love Hannah too, but Garrett Graham. Okay, I can't be fangirling on camera like this. I need to, like, keep some dignity. That is my May wrapped. I know this was quite a long video. I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about everything I watched and consumed in May, and I want to hear about your favorites of May. What did you read? What did you watch? What have you been enjoying recently? Do you have any recommendations based on my favorites? Because I would be happy to listen to your recommendations. But yes, I hope we have a really great June, all of us together. I hope I'm able to actually we are 1 week into June and I'm already feeling a, okay, I don't want to say the word, but I haven't been reading that much, which is a bit concerning. But yes, I am very excited for June. I hopefully can also do a wrap up in June and we can talk about what I've been loving in June. That's it for me, and see you at my next video. Meanwhile, you can like, subscribe, put your notifications on, share this with people that you know would enjoy this as well. And that's it. Thank you for watching. The end. Fin. I don't have any more.